What's going on, guys? The MercilessGhosties back again with my top 5 anticipated games of 2022. 2021 produced some classics, including my personal favorite of the year, Resident Evil Village. I really enjoyed that game. It's ultimately become one of my favorite Resident Evil games of the series. I also discovered some other games from past years that I wasn't necessarily too high on, like Resident Evil 7, Dying Light, UFC 4. Those games really grew on me last year. I played the demo for games like Resident Evil 7 and UFC 4, and I really wasn't too high on them. But after replaying them in 2021, they both really grew on me. I really enjoyed them. Will 2022 be similar? Vastly different? Is it all horror games? Are there some surprises? Let's talk about it. So let's start off with a couple of honorable mentions that couldn't quite crack my top 5. Starting off with Gran Turismo 7. Gran Turismo was the first game that I ever owned on the PS2. It's a classic racing game, and the nostalgia will always be there for me. I miss days of school playing this game. I grinded hours playing this shit with my dad. I know he's gonna be a big fan of it. I look forward to revisiting the series. And of course, it's a PlayStation exclusive. So all you PlayStation viewers who like classic racing games, stay tuned because I will be playing Gran Turismo 7. Another honorable mention is God of War Ragnarok. I've never really gotten too heavy into the series. I plan on diving into some different games and genres this year, and God of War being the classic that it is, it's about time that I got caught up in one of PlayStation's all-time juggernauts. My younger brother, who games more than I do these days, has sworn by God of War and sang its praises for years now. In general, PlayStation subscribers should definitely keep an eye out because I have a lot of PS exclusive content coming out this year. But all of the console users, Xbox, Switch, PC, y'all are welcome to join my streams too, since all you can do is watch online anyways, I guess. All right, now it's time for the top 5. Starting with number 5, we have OUTLAST Trial. Now, I just started recently getting into the OUTLAST series. I've played a little bit of the first game, and I really like the atmosphere so far. It has a bit of a Silent Hill feel to it, but it's mostly a pretty unique experience. Unlike most survival horror games that I've played, the storyline begins as a freelance reporter investigating a psychiatric hospital where a lot of experimenting and apparently some weird shit went down. I bought the first 2 games, so I'll be playing through both before OUTLAST Trials is released. I hope it keeps up the vibe of what I experienced so far with the first game, but you can definitely expect some content this year for the whole OUTLAST series. At number 4, Dying Light 2. Similar to OUTLAST, I recently discovered Dying Light as one of the most recommended games in the horror genre. If you're a fan of the series, make sure to take a look at my most recently updated videos, as I have been binge playing through the first game in anticipation for Dying Light 2, which comes out on February 4th, 2022. I will say about the first game, it has started pretty slow, and the dialogue can be pretty cheesy at times. There's a part of the game that I'm at now that's called Hell Raid. It's like a little mini arcade game that you can play through. If you play through the game, you know what I'm talking about. And that shit has been fucking me up. Ultimately, it's not my ideal horror game, but as an action-adventure game, it's been pretty enjoyable for what it is. Next up at number 3, The Forest 2, another sequel of a game I recently discovered through one of the channel's biggest supporters, Miss Delsey. If you're a fan of survival horror games or just want a really cool streamer to check out, I definitely recommend checking out her. Her links will be in the description down below. The Forest is an open world survival game where you're stranded on an island and have to scavenge your resources to survive while trying to find your son who is missing after you survive the opening scene plane crash, and also surviving the attacks of cannibals that will randomly just come up and attack you while you're roaming the island. Survival and survival horror games have always been my favorite genre, and this game has everything you could want from a survival game. You have the option to play with solo or multiplayer, so there's plenty of different approaches to take. If you're a fan of survival games, this is a must play. I've loved the original so far and can't wait to explore this universe further. Coming in at number 2 is Evil Dead. For starters, I love the fact that these classic horror franchises like Evil Dead, Friday the 13th, before lawsuits killed that game, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, are getting reintroduced to a younger audience through gaming. The last Evil Dead movie we got was in 2013. The last Friday the 13th movie we got was in 2009. And we're getting a Leatherface movie on Netflix next month, which, I mean, they've kind of rebooted and restarted that series so many times, so that whole thing is kind of stale. So why not modernize it through gaming? You'll be able to play co-op with friends or as the demons. So it's another game in the asymmetrical genre that can hopefully keep up with Dead by Daylight, because they pretty much own the entire genre right now. Bruce Campbell is of course returning to do the voiceover for Ash. You will battle in classic Evil Dead locations with some surprises, I'm sure. It was just announced that the game is being delayed until May 13th, 2022. So that gives all of you, yeah, you, I'm talking to you, when this video ends, go watch the Evil Dead movies, get caught up on lore, so when the game comes out, you won't be that person who doesn't understand or who is lost in the game. But my number one is gonna surprise some of you. It's Esports Boxing Club, or ESBC for short. It has been 11 years since we got a licensed boxing game. I loved the Fight Night series, especially Fight Night Champion, which was the last one we got before EA decided to shelf the series in favor of UFC. While I have enjoyed the UFC series, Fight Night, in my opinion, was a far better game. Fight Night Champion, I played in a big competitive tournament and did fairly well, made it pretty far. If ESBC is in the ballpark of what the Fight Night series was, I hope to do the same thing in terms of tournaments. The roster of fighters that they've announced so far is insane, from Muhammad Ali to Larry Holmes, the old heavyweight champions, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the new generation. This game seems to have found the right balance between legacy champions and modern day champions, as well as arcade style boxing and simulation boxing. My expectations are very high, and fingers are crossed that they're met. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Is your list similar to mine? Is it vastly different? Do you have all horror games? Are there no horror games on your list? Comment below, I would love to know. Also, you can follow me on social media at MercilessGhosties on Instagram. Everywhere else where you can find me will be down in the description below. I'll see you guys soon. Peace, I'm out of here.